Hello, 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 everyone. Today is another fun day, Monday. It's October 24th, 2022. It's October already. Can you believe that? It's like, are you ready for it? Like, thank God we made it this far, right? So, I don't know. I'm giving people time to get here. But while we're waiting for people to get in, let's see them comments. Who is ready for Christmas? It's like every time you go in the store, everyone's ready for Christmas because that's the decor everyone's giving off in there. Okay, so today we have a different view on the cameras. So I want to make sure we add that on here. Check that out. So it's like, I don't know. Where's the big dicks? I was trying to make sure we get the discus in there. Those are the tetra, the glow tetra in there. Um, what else we got over there? So we have a different angle this time. Let's see. Oh, wait, there was one there. There's the discus right over there. There's a couple of them in there. So I wanted to get a shot of the fish because I keep talking about the fish, but I don't know if you guys can really see the fish. You can see them behind me. You could probably also see some other things, but we're not gonna go there. We're still trying to figure things out at the same time and integrating this new live stream in to our daily lives. Well, maybe not daily, but into our life. We're trying to get the camera thing right. We're trying to, you know, so bear with us, bear with us. It's only year one for me, and Eddie seems to have all of his stuff together on Thursdays. So he got backdrops and everything. So y'all make sure you come on Thursdays so you can see that. He has all kind of techno type stuff, and I just don't have time for it. I'm sorry. I'm doing a lot of research, and in my research, it takes up a lot of my time. That and my new aqua babies right there. You see that discus? Look at that guy. Yeah, I don't know if it's a guy. I don't know if it's a girl. Again, I haven't had time to do much more than purchase them and keep them alive. And that's a yeah, and that's something right there because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm learning, and I don't know if you got it. The idea of what I'm doing is I love to learn stuff. I'm always trying to learn something new and learn and keep my brain nice, fresh, and young. But anyway, that's a discus. That little guy there. About I think 10 inches if I feed them right. I don't know. We'll see. So I'm trying to feed them right and make sure they grow and keep their water nice and clear and fresh and see what happens. See what happens between traveling and coming back and seeing if they still there. Yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing. So y'all pray for me because I'd be so heartbroken if something goes wrong. I've seen so many discus owners come back from a vacation or a work trip or whatever kind of trip they have to go on, and they come back and they got dead discus in there, and it's like they freak out. It's like that's hard. It's like coming home to your bird. My mama bird, Martin. Okay, yeah, maybe not Martin show lovers out there. My mama bird, kill my mama bird. Okay, so anyway, so I just wanted to say what's going on with the setup so everybody can see we're still working on it. I'm still working on getting my voice back from having COVID. It's still a little difficult. I don't normally talk a lot, so I guess like it going back to what my voice was used to, talking more than 30 minutes, I'll lose my voice. So I've been working on that since having the show. And then since having COVID, I was like, oh, I don't think it's not working like that, but it's okay. You know, everything's good. So I'm going to get back to having other perspectives of people to come onto the show so we can get diverse perspectives because that's what I love. That's what I do. I don't like it to be one-sided, and I like for there to be professional voices, professional perspectives, because when we have people out here on YouTube and everybody has their opinion, and you're acting as though that opinion is a professional fact or a professional statement, and then people taking that information and running with it, and it's like, what's wrong with the world? That's it. That's what's wrong with the world. Okay. So it's like everyone's trying to put everybody into a box. And the internet is kind of sort of a mass method of doing that, putting everyone in that box. Everyone won't fit into that box simply because um, there's not enough room in that box for what they're carrying. Now, if you're doing that challenge that I talked about and you watching this show 3 times and having a different perspective, I just hit you with something right there. So rewind that and speak to that. Okay. A lot of people, they're carrying baggage, they're carrying negativity, they're carrying depression and thoughts of harming others and themselves. It's a lot of things that people are um, doing out here, and they're carrying all this stuff with them, and they trying to fit all that into that box. Now you got to be careful when that box with you, because if they upset, they mad, and they want to hurt people and hurt themselves, got to be careful of what they carrying in that box with you. Eddie has a comment. He says, please help us get to 100 subscribers on YouTube. We are very close. All right, we're very close. I want to thank everybody who's already subscribed, everybody who has liked and shared. I want to make sure we say thank you. And please, please, please make sure you hit me in the comments about this challenge, because there's more to it. You know, with any psychologist, it's always something more to what they're saying than what's on the surface. So definitely do that challenge. What's the challenge? The challenge is to watch some of the shows that I put out there, some of the shows Eddie put out there, and watch it 3 times. And each one of the times that you watch it and talk to the screen, holler at the screen, and have a different perspective each time. And the third time is really the challenge. And the purpose of this challenge is to keep your mind young, fresh, and help your memory. Now that's on the surface of it, but it gets a little deeper than that. Okay, so make sure that you do the challenge and hit me up as to how that's happening, what's going on with you, and what's happening with it. I'm not gonna give it away. No spoilers, no spoilers. Um, but understand that I just gave you something right there, and that's gold, baby. That's gold. It's gold bars right there. Okay. Anyway, back to the box. A lot of times people don't realize that, they're being categorized into a box. They're being shoved into a box, and it's like there's no room for what a lot of people are carrying and bringing into that box. And it's like, oh, there's room in the bottomless pit, but God, you know? So sometimes people that's in that box, it's like they don't realize they've been in that box. They don't know how they got there. It's a lot of times they just following their friends. Like I said on the last show, when I was a little girl, I was like, I didn't want to be a little girl. I wanted to be just like my peers. All of my peers were boys. So I wanted to be a boy. And I'm like, and that's how a lot of times we end up in a box unknowingly. So how do we end up in a box unknowingly is that we're just trying to get along, and we're trying to play with our peers. We're trying to do what everybody else is doing because it looks fun. And it's like, this is what I want to do. And I'm so intrigued by others. And I remember when I had the episode with a couple of my sisters, Karen and Philanda, and I was like, man, in high school, it was the same way. So I realized it was something that stuck with me. So when I was a little girl, I wanted to be like what I thought everyone else was doing. And when I was in high school, I thought, everybody's having sex. And Karen was like, yeah, it may have seemed like, but not everybody. And I'm like, it never dawned on me when I was in it that that's not what was true. And it's like, when you have those different perspectives, you don't know how invaluable those perspectives can be for you. So it's good that I have friends and sisters like Karen and Philanda and other sisters that, help me to see things in a different perspective. And that's really the one of the reasons why in my show I like to bring people on to have different perspectives, because sometimes we walk around with blinders on, and it's not that we're blind to everything. It's just certain things that we don't really see and we can't really speak to that perspective. And that's why I just love my sisters. We're gonna have Philanda back on here. We're gonna grab Karen sometime too. But I just wanted to make sure you understand that I'm going to get back to it. But right now, it's been difficult. I've been a little sick. I'm trying to recover through God's grace and mercy. I'm good. I'm here, but my voice is still trying to recover, and I don't want to leave anybody on the show hanging like, oh, you the host, but now I'm hosting. So we're trying to get the internet working as well as it was before. We're trying to get the cameras to do what they do. But anyway, I'm going to have that. We're going to get back to that. But back to the box. It's like if everyone keeps waiting for those people they want to be around them, um, you know, it's like you'll forget all the things that, because you're trying to be in the box. And everybody's like, well, I don't know if I want to be in the box. I don't know if there's, I'm not trying to be like what you're doing. I'm not trying to copy you. I'm trying to do my own thing. And it's like sometimes we uh we don't wear our best outfits, because we're waiting for particular people to be around. And it's like, oh, well, I was hanging with my friends and, that's the thing that we do. And that's that box again. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until they're around. And that's when I'm going to wear whatever it is. And it's like if everyone keeps waiting for those people, they want to understand them and accept what they have to say. What will you miss out on while you're waiting? And it's like, oh, well, I was waiting for my friends and I was waiting for this and I was going to put this outfit on. I was going to say this. I was going to do that. And that opportunity could pass you by because you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. And it's like, if it's like we keep saying, wait till tomorrow. And I know with like the military people, for one, you know, my experience has been as a military spouse, it's like I'm always waiting for when I get home, I'm gonna do this. When I get home, I'm gonna do that. Oh, I'm gonna talk to my friends when I get home. I'm gonna see this person when I get home. And those things, it just doesn't happen the way that we think that it's gonna happen. And we're always waiting and waiting and putting it off. And a lot of times we're missing something in that waiting, that we're waiting for other people that we want around to be around. Sometimes you just gotta, you know, do what you're gonna do and repeat that again when the people that you really want around come around. Sometimes ranting only seems like ranting to those struggling with the desire to understand things they don't want or aren't ready to accept or make provisions for. So I'm not ranting. You just gotta, again, I challenge you to watch it and keep trying to come at it with different perspectives. Perhaps those people who are the ones missing out and they're waiting for others to understand, accept, and make provisions for the inevitable change, perhaps those are the ones that we really might need to, step back away from them so that we can grow and mature. Everyone has to pray God give it to them so that they can grow and develop. And if they miss out on it, it's all right. Tell them about it, wear it again, say it again, do it again. And it doesn't matter, because they didn't miss out. And you didn't miss out because you didn't wait for them to be around and for you to fit into a box in order for you to, shine. And in that you grew. A lot of times that's how we grow. But sometimes we don't pray God give it to us. We want what we want now and not at the appointed time. Yet timing is important because it's one way to avoid putting more on you than you can bear. Allowing your blessings to be your damnation is one of those things that we're like, well, I want it now, but you wasn't ready. So now instead of that growing you, it stunted you. It stunted your growth. And that's not what it's meant for. But sometimes when we try to rush things, that's what it can be. And the inability to understand when you are to wait and when you are to move, despite, who's on board with you in the time of your moving. You got to try not to lean so much to your own understanding where it's like, oh, okay, I'm missing out because, this person wasn't there. That person was over there doing their thing. They was over there stunned. They was over there living their life, and that's why they weren't there. And you want that when you reunite with that person, you say, oh, yeah, well, why you over there doing that? I was over here doing this, and then y'all now have something new to talk about. You know, some people see a bigger picture than others because that's what it is. Others join when the time is right for them. But there's times when there's something special in your timely moves that you'll receive before others join because that moment was specially created just for you. A lot of times in that box is not enough room for everybody to stunt. It's not room for everybody to glow and shine and grow. So it's like in that time that they weren't there, you had time to grow, do what you were going to do. And if you wait, then you stunted yourself in your development, and you can't always wait for people to say, okay, yeah, I'm coming around. I'm going to be over there. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. You have to do what you're going to do. And in doing that, you can like hone your skills, sharpen your skills. And in doing that, you're even more ready for them when they get around and you start to do your thing around them. For example, some people they say, "Well, I'm not going to wear this outfit because this outfit that's going to blow them out the water. That's going to blow them out the water." So you waiting for a particular group of people who you trying to stunt in front of before you wear this outfit, or you at the job and you like, "No, no, no, I'm gonna wait for this particular uh, time when we had this Christmas party or this Thanksgiving party or something like that." You like, "No, that's when I'm a stunt. That's when I'm a stunt." And then something comes up, the party gets canceled. The person you were trying to stunt in front of gets sick and can't make it. It's so many things that come up, especially during the pandemic, that you can't keep sitting there waiting and biding your time when it's on you for you to move in the way that you're moving. So stop missing out in your waiting for the box. They'll get there. Keep going. You're just outside of the box, yet in the vicinity of the box for a reason. Let me see these comments. Um, what does it say? I just wanted to tune in and say hi before diving back. Hi, Matthew, and yes, make sure you stay in them studies, son. It's homework time for you. School time. We'll have some fun during the holiday seasons though. So no worries, no worries. We got plans. We got plans. Okay. So anyway, it's a reason why you're in the vicinity of the box. Being in the vicinity of the box instead of just being in the box, it allows other people who are in the box to say, hey, did you see such and such get out of the box? And everyone in the box aren't crabs in a barrel. You know what I'm saying? Crabs in a barrel is like, oh, I'm going to kill you or step on you and hinder you in order for me to get out of the box. This is not this is not that. Sometimes people in the box, when you're in the vicinity of the box, they say, hey, did you see such and such get out of the box? Look at what they doing. It's not so bad out there. They can breathe, they growing, and then you tell them, your testimony, or you tell them what you've been doing and how you've been doing what you're doing and how you've been growing. And then they start to understand it's a time to be in the vicinity of the box. And there's a time for you to withdraw and say, okay, well, I'm gonna fall back and I'm just gonna chill in this box, even though I don't really want to be here. But it may be something in there that you need to see. I don't know. I've never fit into the box. I've always been outside of the box because I'm always looking like, I don't know. Let me see what happens. That's just me. I don't know. It might be a whole lot of you out there that's like, I don't know. Let me just see what happens. So in the vicinity of the box, the mentality doesn't escape everyone all the time that, oh, there's another way. Oh, I don't have to be here. Oh, I can be doing something else. So those who aren't looking will see they're not all the only ones the ones who are not looking outside the box, all they can see is what's in the box. But for those who are looking outside the box, they're like, oh, there's other options. Oh, I can see that seems more ideal than what I'm doing right now, what we're doing in this box. So the vicinity is like, yeah, you're around, but you kind of doing your own thing. You're not following the crowd. You're not, mimicking and imitating and emulating other people more so than you are taking a little bit from everywhere and building who you want to be and building what you want to do. And that's one of the reasons why I love the aquarium hobby. The aquarium hobby is like, yeah, you have a big tank of water, but what are you going to do? You have this big old empty box and it's glass, and it's like, what are you going to do with this? And now your creative juices are flowing because you can do anything you want. You don't have to follow the set structure. Some people say, well, okay, I got to do all this filtering. And some people say I got to clean it every day. That's one thing I was looking at. For example, it's like, um, I was looking at the aquarium. I've been an aquarium hobbyist for a very long time, since before Eddie and I got together, and we got together very young. I was still in high school. We went to high school prom together, so I was very young. I'm trying not to date myself, so I'm choosing my words really, really carefully. So anyway, so it was like, okay, now I have this hobby, and now it's like everybody has their ideas. And when I saw other people doing like out of the box thinking, I was like, what? Now, see, at the time with the aquarium hobby, I was in the box. I didn't know I was in the box. I just had an aquarium, and I'm in the hobby, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is what we doing. This is what we doing. Oh, oh, wait a minute. Somebody who's in the vicinity of the box but not in the box, they had a creative thought of um, how to make the aquarium hobby a little more affordable so that you're not spending a lot of money on filters. You're not spending a lot of money on water changes. You're not spending a lot of money on, the various things that was kind of like, making it a bit of a job because or something that you have like it's a dependent, and you're like, man, I gotta pay for this, gotta pay for that. And it's like somebody found a way that that's not a burden anymore. Somebody said, well, if you put plants in the aquarium, then that ecosystem that you're creating, along with the fish, the plants, and the light, everything is going to work to the point where you don't even have to have a filter. You don't even have to change the water. You can just keep on topping off the water to make when it evaporates. You can just add more water in there and never have to change the water. I've seen some videos where some hobbyists were like, it's been 2 years and they have never cleaned the aquarium or changed the filters. And I'm like, what? Yes, that is so possible. It all depends on what kind of fish you have in there, what kind of filters you have on there, and what are you doing? How many fish do you have in there? Not just what kind of fish, but how many fish. And it's like learning different things. And then I saw some people who were like, they weren't putting a hang on the back filter on the aquarium, and they weren't putting a filter underneath the aquarium. And I'm like, how'd you do that? Sponge filters. So it's like, yeah, people can be in the box with different aspects of their life and not realize that they're in a box until they see someone just in the vicinity of outside of the box and say, oh, I didn't know that was an option. So as I say it to you, I'm definitely saying it to myself. This is things that I've come to learn over the years that I'm sharing. So it's like, when I found out that I didn't have to be in the box and I didn't have to think like everything else, I was like, well, maybe what would happen if I was to come up with an idea of my own of how to manifest the things that I want. So that's how I realized, oh, I'm not the only one that's in the box because I had an idea and people were like, oh, no, you can't do that. What are you doing, lady? You can't, and wanting to really curse you out because you have independent thought. But by their response, you would know who's in the box. So some people I would tell an idea and they're like, oh man, I didn't think of it like that. But you know what? Theoretically, that could work. But put it to practice and see if it'll, do what you're expecting for it to do, and make the adjustments because I can forecast that you may have a problem in this, that area, and that area. And see, that's the kind of feedback that you want when you have an idea. You want somebody to say, well, yeah, Maybe that'll work, maybe it won't, but it won't work if you do this or if you do that. So maybe if you figure out a way to maneuver so it won't do that, then it'll work for you. So again, I'm gonna go back to the aquarium because that's what's there. So people were like, you can't have a discus because you have to change their water so often, and they're so sensitive to the water and the pH and the temperature and everything. So it's really difficult to keep discus. It's really difficult to keep tetras. That's an expert level fish that you have to do a whole lot of maintenance for. They require a lot. Those fish that you see behind me, those are in fact cardinal tetra. And those cardinal tetra were not difficult to keep. And I didn't change the water a lot either. It's just, that balance that we talked about. So when you look at people who are outside the box and they say, well, I'm just going to try it, I'm just going to try it. Those people, they come back and they give their testimonial about how successful they were. And then you're like, oh, wow, really? Let me give that a try. And then it starts to work. So I'm not saying anything like, oh, if you're in the box, you got to stay in the box. If you're, you know, in the box and you don't know you're in the box, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not necessarily a good thing either. And it doesn't have to, stunt your growth. But at the same time, how are you to learn? How are you to grow? You got to be around stuff. These thoughts don't just come, out of the blue air. You're not innately born with these thoughts, and when you're growing and you learning and you're trying to self-soothe with various methods like having an aquarium or having friends that you go out and kick it with or whatever it is that you do. It's not to say that you're immediately aware that you're in a box when you're doing that, because you're doing the same thing as someone else is doing, the exact same thing. So please do share this video so this message can get out to everyone, because a lot of times what I'm seeing is a lot of people have misconceptions about boxes and titles and um, ideas. So I think this will definitely help a lot of people to be creative, one, to feel a little bit better about the in the box mentality, and to also understand that just because you're in the box and you don't know it or you're aware of it, it doesn't mean that you can't get out of that box. So have hope, share, like, and definitely subscribe, because that will definitely help us reach the subscribe number, that the viewer subscriber number that we're trying to reach. And don't worry, we're going to get better with this. So while we're working out the little different things that we're trying to do, we're just going to keep on going and struggle through it. So you were here in the beginning. That's all that is. That's all that is. You were here in the beginning. So when it does continue to grow, you'll remember all of these bloopers. We didn't do bloopers. We did whole blooper episodes. Okay. We didn't do blooper moments. We did entire blooper episodes. Again, sorry about my voice. I'm still trying. I'm working on it. But anyway, where was I? Oh, that's right. A relatable example. Sometimes people wait to um, put their talents and skills and their projects and thoughts or whatever out there, because they're waiting for the right opportunity and the right company to see them. And we've all been there. Sometimes we're like, well, the boss isn't here yet. I want to do this now. And it's like, I don't know if that's a good idea, but you won't know until you try. So don't some people, they don't wait. They'll wear that same thing out as though it was all they have, because they're holding on to it for everyone to see and like it as much as they do. You've seen people like, she wear that same outfit, she wear that same hat, he wear them same shoes, he wear that same jacket. It's because they're like, hey, I'm gonna wear it so that everybody can see it, not just wait and wait and wait until certain people are around, then start wearing it. They're gonna wear it all the time. It's like people, I know I did an episode once before about people who give a testimony, and it's like, you tell that same story every time, and we tired of hearing it. But somebody that's around them didn't hear it, and they benefited from that story or that testimonial. But anyway, there's different types of people. So that's one type of person. Meanwhile, there are those who wear what they want and they wear it or say what they want to say or want whatever they want to share, and they move on to something else until there's nothing else. However, there's a rare few that don't lean toward their own understanding, and perfect strangers are led to provide everything along their journey, or they make room for them as they move in progress. So a lot of times people, they're like waiting and waiting because they're like, oh, I was waiting, but now I'm going to just go ahead and do it. And then they don't have, they go ahead and do what they were going to do, and then they don't have anything left for the opportunity that they really wanted it to. And sometimes a complete stranger can come up to you because you didn't waste that time and you did what you were supposed to do. For example, a lot of times in the pandemic, a lot of people, they're holding on to their money because it's like it's a whole pandemic going on. A lot of people don't know what's going to happen from one moment to the next. I know Biden said that the pandemic is over. However, the news is projecting that there's going to be a surge, and a lot of people are saying, well, since there's going to be a surge, I don't know if a lot of people have watched it, but from what I know of the people that I know, they're like, okay, bet it's going to be a surge. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold on to my money so that when the time comes, I'm going to be able to spend the money um, at the appropriate time. So that basically um, they're basically like storing all of their stuff up, getting ready for what they think may be the worst. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when some people, they're like, well, I don't have it to hold on to. I have to spend it while I have it and while I have the time. So I don't know what's going to happen. So some people they're living check to check, and some people they don't even have check to check to live, so they have to spend it where along their way as they go. And it's like they're they're like, okay, well, I don't know what's going to happen. And those are the people that's not leaning to their own understanding. It's like, well, okay, I'm just going to go out and do what I need to do. The prices of food are gone up. The prices of gas are gone up. All the prices are gone up. I need to figure out, day to day. I can't live for tomorrow. And those are the people who are sometimes complete strangers that come right up to you and give you everything that you need. For example, some people they say, "Well, I'm going to work and I'm trying to work and my family's sick. I keep coming home trying not to get sick, but then I got sick and now I don't know how I'm going to make it." And sometimes when you finish being sick and you go back to work, you're like, "Well, now I don't have much money. All I have is enough for us to live every day, and you struggle to do that. So I don't have money for presents and I don't have money for the holiday meals." And sometimes people just they'll give you a holiday meal, and it's opportunities to come up where they're giving away turkeys, they're giving away hams, they're giving you know various needs that people will probably be lacking uh, otherwise. So a lot of those people, they're not leaning to their own understanding. They're like, look, I just got to do what I got to do today, and I'm worried about tomorrow when tomorrow comes. It's not a right or a wrong way. So what's the takeaway? Just don't miss out because you were waiting and you didn't understand, or you tried to be too controlling of the situation. A lot of times we stress out because we're trying to control things that we don't have any control over. Sometimes you're sitting there like, well, if I held on to it a little bit longer, I could have did. You cannot control that, and you have to relinquish that mentality of, oh, if I would have, if I could have. Sometimes you just have to have a little faith, and that little faith will take you very far. So, just keep trying to not be in that box when you realize that there's a thought that you have, there's a talent you have, there's a project you want to do, there's something that you want to do, because that thought may be specifically for you to take a little room, elbow room and space outside of the box and venture on and do something that will grow you and maybe even grow others, because you never know, being in the vicinity of the box, who's looking and being inspired by your venture. So it's not necessarily if you jump out of the box and you're like, well, I'm just going to try my talents, my skills, or my thoughts, or whatever, and put it to the test and see if it works. You don't know what it is, what will inspire someone else who's looking and saying, you know what? I saw that you tried and it didn't work out for you the way you thought it would, but I have an idea. So if we put our ideas together, maybe we can manifest something better than what we thought of individually. So I'm not saying, be in the box, stay in the box, whatever. I'm just saying, keep going, stop waiting, don't miss out. You never know in your waiting what you're missing out on. And, you know, I don't know. It's like all the time people they're leaning towards these various songs, and the songs they have thoughts, and it's like songs that say, oh, win, 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 whatever you got to do, win, win. People have even arranged games that you know are like, oh, there's no losers. But back in my day, songs were made solely on the premises of you win some, you lose some, hey, move on. But nowadays, it's like people have to keep winning, winning, winning. And if you don't win, it's like a feeling that comes over that person that's overwhelming. It's like, man, I didn't win. And now, this I'm hopeless and hapless. And it's like that's the mentality um of crabs in the barrel. I didn't make it out of the barrel. So I'm hopeless, I'm hapless. And that's not always the case. And that's why a lot of times if we would just, I don't know, just I don't want to say it the wrong way. If we had a different perspective of the box mentality and what um we were thinking about the box, and it's not the same as saying everything you do you're in the box thinking with it. It's just some of the things that we're in the box thinking with, and some of the other things that we're like, oh, that's cool. You know, it's like, okay, I'm in the box thinking about the aquariums, but I'm outside the box when it comes to child wearing or education or, outfits and jewelry and stuff. But sometimes, it's okay for us to, admit and accept that, some of the things that we do, we're in the box thinking about it. And it's like, you can't control everything. And a lot of times when we try to control everything, that's the part that puts us in a negative headspace where we need to do things like self-soothe and find other avenues to alleviate stress. Try to control it. Yeah, and that's a good point. It's chaos. It causes chaos because it first starts mentally, where the chaos is occurring with us mentally because everybody don't know what you're thinking in your head. You know, people don't know. Oh, she had this idea in her head of how everything was supposed to work out, and it didn't work out that way. And then it's like now you're in a terrible mental headspace about the concept or the idea or the project or whatever it is that you were trying to do. And nobody even knows why. Nobody around you knows why. And that's one of those things where I was talking about originally, where a lot of people don't fit in the box because what they're carrying. So it's not just to say that you don't fit in the box because your talents are so big. It's not to say that you don't fit in the box because you got so much baggage. It's to say that something about you doesn't fit in that box. So in this perspective of in the box thinking, and when it comes to this topic, you don't fit in the box. But when it comes to another topic or idea or venture, you may fit in the box. And it's not to say that that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's all about what you do with it. It's all about your perspective. A lot of times our perspective is really what makes the difference. It can be a whole lot of bad things going on. For example, during the pandemic, um, I was fairly comfortable because I don't like being around a lot of people, and I don't like a whole lot of talking and whole lot of people stunting and all this fame and bragging and gossiping and like, man, can y'all just chill? But when the pandemic occurred, everybody was in their own house. Everybody was in their own everything. And you didn't have to be bothered with a whole lot of people. And that made me very comfortable because I don't like doing all that hugging. If you know me, I don't do that hugging and I don't do that kissing. Yeah, don't kiss me on my cheek, your wet mouth. Keep that to yourself. My dog don't even kiss me. Like, quit. That's wet. I don't want that. So it's like I was really comfortable, whereas a lot of people were like really uncomfortable. Like, man, I got to be around other people. I don't know how to self soothe. I got to be around other people and hang with them. And we joke around and we play. And that's how I feel better about my life and the things that's going on and going wrong or going right is being around other people. But it's like some people they can deal with that. So it's like whereas some people are like, oh, I can't deal with that. Meanwhile, other people can be extremely comfortable with that because it fits them and their character more. It makes them more comfortable. So it's not to say that just because it's hell going on all around you, that you yourself aren't extremely comfortable, extremely happy, and just chilling. It's about the mentality. Yeah, it was extremely difficult not to be around family. It was extremely difficult not to be able to just move around whenever you wanted to. More importantly, it was really, really, really hard to go to the store and need tissue, whether it was Kleenex, toilet paper, paper towels, whatever kind of tissue it was, it just wasn't there. And that was really, something that really rubbed me the wrong way. And then suddenly everybody buying Clorox wipes. I'm like, before I could go to the store and everything's there. Bleach, Clorox wipes, Pine Sol, everything's there because everybody's going green with their cleaning. And I'm like, now that the pandemic occurred, I can't find any of the things that I normally use to make me feel comfortable about disinfectants and things like that. I'm like, man, what is going on? So only in that perspective was I uncomfortable or dissatisfied. But with all the other things, um, to, everything else. I was pretty happy with. I was pretty comfortable. But it's like being a military spouse is like oftentimes we don't get a chance to go home and see our family members. So kind of accustomed to it, even though it super sucks. It's like kind of used to it by now. But it really kind of sucks that now that you're retired from the military and you can move around like that, you still can't because now it's a whole pandemic that's saying no, you can't go nowhere and traveling is more restricted and gas prices and food prices and the level of unpredictability had increased to the point where it was like maybe you should bunker down for a while and let it all pass over. So outside of that part being really uncomfortable and unpredictable, it's like everything was okay because I was in a good mental space. So even though hell is going on around you, it's like your perspective. So your perspective may not improve because your situation didn't improve. But during these shows, I'm trying to show you that, you know, your perspective can change, even though your environment has not changed, it has not improved. You can still alter your mentality if you just find ways to self-soothe, if you just find ways to, get outside the box and spread your wings a little bit. And, I know there's a certain level of comfort and comfortability, comfortability in being in the box. For example, you're comfortable with the idea of the predictability. You're comfortable with the idea of having comfort from whomever it is that's in the box with you. And it's difficult for you to be in the box, but it's a predictable type of difficult. So in that ability to predict what's going to happen, you find comfort in it. And you're like, it's terrible. It's extremely terrible, but I'm familiar with it. So I'm comfortable with it. I know what's going to happen. I know it's bad and I know it's going to have an outcome that I don't want, but I'm going to keep on repeating this pattern, even though I know it's not going to get me where I want to be. But you're able to, in a way, control it because you're comfortable being able to predict that this is exactly what's going to go wrong and this is exactly what you can expect. Whereas they're outside of that, you're like, well, I don't know what to expect if I try this or if I try that or if I do this or I do that. But if I continue to do this same pattern, even though I'm not going to have the desired outcome, I'm still going to know I'm going to be all right in the no. Some people, they just If they're not in the know, if they can't predict what's going to happen, then they don't want to try anything. In doing that, it's like, oh, well, if I change my mental perspective of how I feel about giving it a try. And a lot of times, again, it's because you see somebody else who gave it a try, who was where you were, and now they're outside of that, and they're trying things. They're outside the box and they're trying things. And you're like, well, maybe if I venture outside of this box because that person did, maybe it'll work out the same way for me. Or maybe it'll work out better because I won't have been the first person. I wouldn't have been the first person that came outside of that box. And it's like, oh, okay, I think I can do it. I think it's going to be okay. And it's like, now, now that it's okay, now that you have a different perspective, that's the only thing that changed. Your situation didn't change, but your perspective did, and that's what made everything okay. So you can be in a situation where it's hell and hot water. You could be in a situation where it's a whole pandemic, but you're happy and you're okay. You could be in a situation where you're in the box, but mentally you're not in the box and everything's okay. So it's about your perspective, not just about your physical presence, your physical being, your physical well-being. It's a lot to do with your mental space. For example, I know in a couple of shows I said, that a man believeth, so is he. And it's because a lot of times, like in the last episode, I spoke about how people can be really sick, and they go to the hospital and they know, okay, now I'm going to get the help I need. Now I'm going to get the help I need. But you're still sick, but your body starts to feel better. Your body starts to feel better because that a man believeth, so is he. So he starts to think, okay, where the your body is saying, okay, we're here, we're gonna get help, we're gonna do. So now we're feeling better. We're feeling better, and then suddenly, even before you can get the medicine, you start to feel better. That's because that a man believeth, so is he. And if you're in hell and hot water, but everything around you is like, oh, going wrong, this is going wrong, that's going wrong, but mentally you're like, okay, I don't have time for a mental breakdown right now. So mentally, I'm just going to be stable. I'm just going to take things as it come. I'm going to address things one thing at a time. And suddenly, everybody's looking at you like, wow, you seem really cool for everything to be going wrong. And that's because you are in a positive mental space where the situation around you is not negatively impacting your ability to think like, okay, it's going to be all right. Okay, I'm just going to handle things one step at a time. You're being logical about the problems so it's not overwhelming, and you're able to deal with it a lot easier, a lot better. And then when the moment comes where everything's happy, you're able to breathe and say, whew, now I can cry. Now I can say, okay, man, that was hard. Now that it's over, you can do all those things that you didn't have time for because of all the chaos that was going on around you, all the things that was going wrong. And that's important to a lot of people because a lot of people, it's like, if I'd have thought about it while I was doing it, I don't know if I'd have been able to make it through. I don't know if I would have the same testimonial that I have now because I probably would have been a little weaker. I probably would have been a lot less logical about my situation. For example, being a military spouse, everybody's like, well, how did you do it? How did you have four sick kids and you doing, you can't walk and you have this and you have that problem and you're in school and you're doing this and your husband is nowhere around because he's deployed. How did you do all of that by yourself? And it's like, did I have time to think about, oh, I'm by myself? A lot of people, a lot of military spouses, they do dwell on the fact that they're by themselves, the fact that, there's no one around to help them. And I didn't think about it that way. I was like, well, this person needs some help. I'm gonna help them. A lot of people say, well, how are you helping somebody else and you're in need yourself? How are you doing? Your husband gone, your kids this and gets that. And then they start naming everything in your life that's going the way they see, like, oh man, I know that's wrong. That's not right. That's terrible for you. How are you still functioning? I would have gave up a long time ago. I'd have did something else. And it's like, if you give air an opportunity to those thoughts and allow your mental well-being to be depreciated because you're thinking about it the way they're telling you to think about it, or you're trying to see it from their perspective and say, well, yeah, you're right, everything is hell, why am I sitting here still smiling? If you keep on, dwelling on the things that put you in a terrible mental space, that's the outcome you're going to have. It's something terrible. But when you put yourself in a mental positive space, you just find something in whatever is going on. Find something that's positive about it. Dwell on that while you continue to work on what it is you have to do and what it is that you need to have done or accomplished. Focus on that. Because if you make time all the time to say, oh man, everything is so bad, so wrong, then you're going to get stuck in that, and your mental space is going to depreciate your physical space, because one bleeds into the other. I don't know if you know that or not, but when I have a positive mental perspective, even though it's hell around me, that positive mental um, space bleeds over into my negative physical space. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying or not, but I'm gonna say it one more time, because it's like some people, they don't understand. Well, what a space? How can you have a mental space? It's not physical. How can it bleed over into your physical space? Because again, that a man believeth, so is he. So if I have a positive mental attitude about things, and I'm smiling about things, and I'm finding some reason to, stay positive, that positivity bleeds over into the physical, because I'm smiling, because I'm reacting to the positivity and not the negativity. So that physical manifestation of that positive mental attitude, that mental space, is now spreading like if you were to see somebody yarn, it makes you yarn. Like you could just see it on TV and suddenly you yarning too. It's like that kind of contagious type of bleed over, where it's like, oh man, I didn't realize that. But sometimes you can hear somebody laugh, and that laugh, even though you're not, you don't even know the joke, you're not in on the joke, you don't know what they're laughing about, but you hear somebody laugh, and that person has an infectious laugh, and it's like that laugh, that joy that's coming from them, that peace, that moment, is bleeding over into those who hear it, and it makes them laugh. Some people, they have an infectious smile, and it's like, man, I saw you smiling, and it just made me smile. I was really feeling down, but something about your smile made me smile. And some people, they have a negative, they down, and their negative mentality, that space that they have, is bleeding over into the environment around other people. And they was like, man, I was happy a minute ago, but you look so sad. You look so down. And then somebody will say, well, yeah, I was feeling bad because XYZ is going wrong. And then it's like, man, I was in a good mood until you said that. So you see, it works both ways. It's like your positive mental space can bleed over into your physical space, just the same way as your positive physical space can bleed over into your mental space. So if you were always to try to continuously do things to self-soothe. For example, during the time where I had to travel and to anywhere, um, I feel like, oh man, I miss my fish, I miss my fish. So mentally, I just picture what it was that they looked like the last time, and how it was, and I wish I could put it in my pocket so I could just, a live stream of it, so I could just whip the phone out at any given time and just look at the fish, like while anybody talking crazy, I can just look at the fish and just keep smiling, instead of just having it mentally in my head, where I'm just looking at them mentally and like, oh, okay, let me deal with the BS I got to deal with. Oh, back to you. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times people, they have to keep that mental picture in their head. Sometimes it's somebody, the mental thought is their mom. The mental thought is a good moment with their dad. Their mental thought is their baby, a guy who just had a baby. He may be underway. We're Navy, so he may be underway, and he'll say, well, man, I'm really feeling down. I'm really feeling down. And then suddenly a thought of his baby will come to mind, and it'll be like, oh, um, I just thought about my baby. I just thought about my baby, and it made me feel so much better. A lot of times, it's just a mental picture, and that's okay. Whatever it is, sometimes it's a token, and it's like, oh, I have this sock, my baby's sock. And that's the idea that'll come to mind. Let me pull out that sock and smell that little sock and smell my little baby while I'm gone until I can get back to my baby. A lot of times, people that make it through tumultuous times and a lot of chaos, physical chaos, is because they had something that was anchoring them. And a lot of people, they're in a box where they're like, well, we're all miserable, and is like in that respect, on that topic of stress, it's like people are in a box and they're like, well, I don't know how to get out of this box. How do I get out of the box where I'm thinking like, yeah, when I get sad, I don't have any method to soothe myself. I don't have any method to um, get out of this physical um, negative space. What do I do? How can I change that? And you don't know it, but a lot of people, they have mental pictures. They have a sock. They have, a picture on their phone, or a physical picture that was printed out. They have something that helps them to stay um, balanced mentally, so they don't have negative mental spaces, so they don't have mental breakdowns. And a lot of times we don't know it because we don't see it. So I'm just on these shows that I'm doing, I'm trying to show you different ways to self-soothe, different ways to see, have a positive perspective. There's been a couple of shows that I've done about the hierarchy of human needs that can help you to build whatever it is that um, you yourself could use for yourself to put you and keep you into a positive mental space, or to bring you back, something that can you say, well, man, I fell off, so now I got to get back on. And you're like, well, how can I get back on? I don't even remember how to get back there. So those videos, they're more helpful than just the purpose that I put it out there for. So definitely go back and watch those episodes so you can see how to self-soothe, how to meet your various needs, so you can see different perspectives of things, so you can realize that, yeah, in this thought, in this topic, I'm in the box and I need to get out of the box. How do I get out of the box? Well, I know everybody doesn't want to, do a aquarium, but I do many things. And those things that I do, it's like, oh, that really helped me, to relieve the stress, the mental stress that I was in. And now, no matter what's going on physically around me, I can be positive, I can be happy. And it's like, sometimes we can't control the physical environment that we're in, but we can always control our mental space that we're in, no matter what, because no one knows what you're thinking. No one knows your thoughts. They can't see what you're thinking. They can't stop you from thinking. They can't stop you from fantasizing. They can't stop you from dreaming. Even with your eyes wide open, you're dreaming because you're hoping. It's a hope that you have, a deep down desire to keep doing the thought, having the thought that you're having, that for some point in time you're going to have the positive physical environment to match the mental positive environment that you have. So I'm just saying, in the box thinking is not always a general big picture of, oh, you're in the box. Sometimes the in the box thinking is one topic that you're in the box and you have blinders on, a few topics that you are blindsided to, other options and opportunities. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but the takeaway is, accept the things you can't change and change the things you can change, but always maintain the ability to control your mental positive attitude and mental positive space, because it's going to bleed over into your physical space, no matter what, no matter what the chaos is, whether it's a pandemic, whether it's a surge in the pandemic, whether you at the job and you dealing with some idiots and you're like, here we go again. But you're smiling because mentally there's a picture there. Mentally there's a positivity there. And that is what you're really looking at, as opposed to, letting the environment bring you down to a negative mental space, and letting those people control whether you're happy or whether you're sad, whether you're depressed or whether, you're not depressed. This is what you can control regardless of chaos. You can control your mental space. So I'm going to give you one really good view of this really showing out. I'm just saying, uh, but one thing I want you to take away is just go ahead and try very hard to watch these videos and watch it 3 times. Give yourself 3 opportunities to have one perspective and watching the whole episode and track what your perspective is. Then watch it again to have another perspective and track what your perspective is so you don't have the same perspective. And then come again for the third perspective. And I want to know what your challenges were. I want to know what your accomplishments were. And I want to know who saw what I didn't say about this challenge. Who saw the benefit of what this challenge is with that I did not say? Okay, so that's my show for today. I will try to come on Wednesday since my voice cracked, but it came back, and we'll see what happens for Protest Wednesday. But until next show, rewind, repeat, and remember, mental health is physical wealth.